to the witness and members of the judiciary, the members of the senior bar president of the bar council, family of the Honorable Mr. Justice Thomas. I did not personally have the opportunity to appear much before Mr. Justice Simon, save for one occasion. That one occasion was very, but it was short. And to the from other colleagues who have attended before him, I understand that they found that he was concerned principally justice and seeing that justice done. The lady, on a personal note, it was with a sense of pride that I saw when I saw Justice Simon was appointed fit as the judge of the Supreme Court. I remember as a young girl in high school growing up, um, Mr. Simon, along with Mr. Ariel, Mr. Keith, was a few on those that I looked up to that influenced my decision. Um, an attorney and a member of this bar now. So I just want to say to him on the personal how proud I was to see him here. I'm sure that as he admits this office, this appointment, the continued concern and have that keen sense of justice that he has displayed throughout his legal career and the person that the younger members of the bar can look up to and inspire by and exercise and after the word. That's the first few done. Thank Mr. Simon Susu for his daughter to the Texas Society as he sat as a member of
First. Thank you. But I was saying that over these years and the capacities in which our path crossed, two things stood out uniquely for me. as far as Justice Simmons was concerned. The first one is that he is a man of few words, both orally and in writing. And those few words, my lady, are invariably laden with profound wisdom, depth of knowledge, and wealth of experience. Secondly, my lady, he is a man of a quiet and humble disposition. And over the years, I came to realize that that's where his strength actually lies, because he tends to disguise his confidence, strength of character, and sobriety of judgment. My lady, I am aware that my Lord Justice Simmons was appointed primarily as a civil and commercial court judge of the Supreme Court. And so the appearances of my colleagues and I before him were rare, and mostly in interlocutory matters like bail applications. But it was such a privilege, my lady, and joy for me to peruse his erudite and scholarly judgments and rulings in the civil matters of what we may now call the Sri Lankan cases. But when necessity laid it on my Lord Justice Simmons to preside over a full criminal trial, my lady, I was a bit nervous. And I actually called my senior colleague who came in to us as an assistant director of public prosecution from Jamaica and joined our office that time. And that was the first criminal matter she was going to do. And I called her and I said, literally said to her, you need to be well prepared and ready to assist Justice Simmons. My lady, but 2 weeks into the trial, my colleague came back to me and reported that it is such a refreshing thing, such a reassuring thing to appear before Justice Simmons as a criminal court judge. And interestingly, the defense attorneys echoed the same sentiments. And I couldn't help, milady, if you remember, passing on to you those positive comments from the lawyers that appeared before him in the criminal trial. Today, my lady, on behalf of my colleagues at ODPP, we join an appreciative judiciary. We join an obviously proud and thankful Bar Association of Turks and Caicos, from whence he was appointed. And above all, my lady, we join, my Lord, your grateful nation, Turks and Caicos Island, to celebrate you and your short but outstanding judicial service. Thank you and well done, and best wishes as you move on. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my lady. And I first thank you for holding the ceremony on the service of Mr. Justice Simons as a judge of the Supreme Court. It is my distinguished pleasure to join the Deputy Attorney General and the DPP to pay tribute to him for his service as a judge. Before he became a judge, Mr. Simons had a distinguished career at the private bar. And it was not the first time that he made his contribution to the public service of these islands. His professional career and his public service in some way shared the same arc as mine. We both came from very humble beginnings. He from Saltee and me from North Bottle Creek, North Caicos. He was the founding member of his law firm, originally Miller O'Simons, now Miller Simons O'Sullivan. He became a member of the bar 3 years after me. In 2002, January, we both took silk on the same day at the same ceremony. Later that year, 6 months later, in June 2002, we both was awarded the honor of OBE. And for those of you who do not know, OBE does not mean Officer of the British Empire. It means other bogus efforts. We both served as members of the legislature at different times. And we both served on the Interim Advisory Council during 2 separate periods when the Constitution was in suspense. But Mr. Justice Simons took the extra step of accepting an appointment as judge of the Supreme Court, and he walked that extra mile by serving in that capacity. He is to be admired for doing so. He was the first native Turks and Caicos Islander to assume that position. And he did so at a time when both the judiciary and the country needed him. I've had the occasion of appearing before him as a judge with many of my other colleagues, and both I and they can testify that he had the temperament and well suited for the office of the judge of the Supreme Court. He was kind and courteous to the witnesses, patient with them, and he was always respectful of counsel. Mr. Simons leaves a footpath for young Turks and Caicos Islanders to follow. And I'm sure that he is an example to many in the community. And I urge the younger members of the bar to follow in his footsteps. All that is now left for me to do at this brief ceremony is to thank him on behalf of the bar and for his service, and to wish him all the very best in whatever his next endeavors are. And I do hope that his stint of 1 year will not be the end of his judicial career. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you, my lady. My lady, I wish to thank you and the members of the judiciary for allowing me this morning to bring remarks as president of the bar of the Turks and Caicos Islands Bar Association on this commemorative occasion. It is a noble feat to be appointed to the judicial bench in the Turks and Caicos Islands. Many would agree with my assertion that the nobility of appointment despite despite how glamorous the idea might sound, is more connected with the sacrifice one makes in the acceptance of what I can only describe as a painful duty to be fulfilled than an honor received. In this small jurisdiction, those called to serve as arbiters of the law are often subjected to much public scrutiny and oftentimes unjustified and significantly vocalized adverse public opinion. In their capacity as justices of the court, they can easily find themselves isolated from the everyday social activities of the local community. And with this in mind, it is right that those appointed to the judicial bench in the Turks and Caicos Islands be regarded and revered as the pinnacle of what it means to be good and faithful servants amongst us, who by accepting the call to take on the burden of administering justice amongst their peers, set aside selfish gain in pursuit of a higher calling, which is to dedicate one's skills to the service of humanity. My lady, on the 28th of February 2020, the Bar Association celebrated the announcement of the appointment of Justice Simons QC as an acting judge of the Supreme Court, at that time for a period of 1 month. At that time, it marked the first appointment of a natural born Turks and Caicos Islander to the Supreme Court bench. On the 1st of April 2020, the association once again celebrated his appointment as a judge of the Supreme Court. At that time, the announcement was for a period of 1 year. We note that it has now been nearly 2 years since that appointment. My lady, Justice Simons's initial appointment and subsequent reappointment to the bench confirms the value of his contribution to the judiciary of the TCI and the confidence held in his ability to administer justice on behalf of the people of these beautiful by nature isles. My lady, permitting me to address Mr. Justice Carlos Simons directly. Justice Carlos Simons, QC, as you prepare to demit the office of Judge of the Supreme Court of the Turks and Caicos Islands, on behalf of the Bar Association of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the legal fraternity to which you belong, I wish today to convey our gratitude for the enormous contribution you have made to this court during your time as a judge. Mr. Justice Simons, QC, as you prepare to demit office and to set your sights on new opportunities in your life, I encourage you to do so knowing that you have been a stellar example of what Turks and Caicos Islanders who are attorneys can and should aspire to achieve. Thank you once again for your service. May God bless you and grace the days ahead of you with an abundance of his favor. With that, thank you, my lady.
Good morning, Chief Justice, my esteemed brother and sister judges, to friends and colleagues, Justice Simons. These ceremonies for our friends and colleagues are really joyous occasions, and this one is no exception. It's always a pity to lose a hardworking collegiate member of the team who's committed to public service. Justice Simons, I find the occasion all the more glum, primarily because I feel the judiciary has sorely missed out in only having you for a sum total of over a year. I recall the media excitement when the headline of the newspaper was Carlos Simons QC appointed acting Supreme Court judge. As we've just heard, this was on Friday, the 28th of February, 2020, and noted that Justice Simons QC was the first Turks and Caicos Islander to sit on the Supreme Court bench. I am extremely grateful and feel honored to be able to say a few words on behalf of my colleagues. Mr. Justice Simons, OBE, QC, and I know it's not other brothers, beggars, effort, who's been sitting as a judge of the judiciary of Turks and Caicos Islands. You have the accolade of not only being one of highly qualified lawyers and senior partner at Miller Simons O'Sullivan, but also being the first Turks and Caicos Islander to sit as a judge of the Supreme Court of Turks and Caicos Islands. Despite having a short tenure, Justice Simons has provided justice to many in both the criminal and civil cases that he's been dealt with, and those being dealt with as fair, impartial, and independent. These are all attributes that any member of the judiciary in any independent democratic country like Turks and Caicos Islands ought to have. The impartiality of the judicial system can always be attributed to the good quality of judges who've always asserted their independence from the executive. Mr. Justice Simons has illustrated his impartiality in the manner he has dealt with cases and in the reasoning provided in well thought out decisions. If I may be permitted, I would also like to add that Mr. Justice Simons possesses the essential qualities of courage, wisdom, fairness, firmness, alertness, humility, compassion, and importantly, insight. I am of the view that we live in a society where kindness and compassion are essential values to possess. And having had the opportunity of speaking with Justice Simons on many occasions, these are traits that Justice Simons are associated to. I'm well aware that in the search of your further intellectual stimulation and to widen your breadth of legal experience, you presided over your first criminal law matter, which lasted for some time. This thirst for legal knowledge and your ability to go outside your comfort zone is a trait that has been with you for your entire legal career and an attribute your colleagues greatly admire. Your silence on the bench has been difficult to interpret, as it always is accompanied by a poker face. What I didn't know was that the only indicator you give as to how well submissions are being received is by your silently flexing your hands under the bench. Regrettably, this red flag was not discernible from the bar table and has meant that no doubt many counsel have forged on, and for a point, they would have been better to forget within minutes. The inscrutability that you have exhibited on the bench hides the wonderful sense of humor you have in your dealings with your colleagues. You've helped contribute to a significant extent to the collegiate atmosphere which exists in the court, and you have been described as a true gentleman and legal scholar. Those who have worked with you speak with heartfelt sincerity when they say you are greatly respected, calm and collected, possess vast knowledge, passionate about your craft, and will be sorely missed. If you recall, Justice Simons, you once commented that upon your appointment to the bench, you felt very honored, very grateful, very humbled, and that it was a tribute to the support and encouragement of your family and friends and the grace of God. My brother, Justice Simons, may I say on behalf of your colleagues on the bench that it has been indeed our pleasure and privilege and our honor to have you serve with us. We are grateful, we are honored to have worked with you in aspiring for a court of excellence. May God continue to guide and bless you in your future endeavors. Thank you.
Very well said. Very well said indeed, Dr. David. My lord, the Honorable Mr. Justice Carlos Wilbert Simons, OBE Queen's Counsel, does not want a display of judicial pomp as we seek to mark his departure from the bench with the befitting honor of a special sitting. That is the reason for the lack of robes, which customarily would be worn on such an auspicious occasion. In the spirit of his request to keep it low profile, I will keep my remarks to the barest minimum and will not speak at length of his accomplishments or his stature, which in any event is well known to all in the legal and public sector of these islands. Even so, I will be remiss in my duty if I did not at least describe his notable contribution to public service in these islands, which includes his service as a member of this country's bench. The Honorable Mr. Justice Carlos Wilbert Simons, OBE QC, is the son of the Turks and Caicos Islands and hails from the island of Salt Cay. He was admitted as an attorney of the Turks and Caicos Islands Supreme Court in January 1984 and took silk in the Turks and Caicos Islands in January 2002, a recognition of his leadership in the legal profession in these islands. Mr. Justice Simons QC has served as a member of the House of Assembly and is the current chairman of the Public Service Commission. For his public spirit and for all that he has given to these islands, he was in June 2002 recognized with an appointment as an officer of the Order of the British Empire, OBE. It is not surprising then that the learned judge's service extended to judicial work on the two occasions he was approached to offer his services. On the first occasion, Mr. Justice Simons QC accepted to sit as an acting judge of this court for 1 month, handling the family, civil, and commercial dockets in the month of March 2020. This was the month immediately prior to my appointment. After I assumed duties, which included handling the said docket, Mr. Justice Simons QC bowed out honorably, but without ceremony. About a year later, when after the sudden passing of Justice Harrison, may his soul rest in peace, it became necessary for me to take up the conduct of the SIPT trial, Mr. Justice Simons QC once again rose to the occasion and accepted without hesitation when he was approached to serve the judiciary, handling the family, civil, and commercial jurisdictions of the court. This time, it was for a period of 1 year. Thus was he appointed 1 year ago on 31st of March, 2021. The significance of Justice Simons' appointment and his service on this country's bench cannot be downplayed, for he is a pioneer of judicial appointment to the Supreme Court bench, being the first citizen of the Turks and Caicos Islands to ascend to the bench from its inner bar. That he has become a historic figure cannot therefore be denied. In the 1 year of service, the learned judge delivered a number of judgments and rulings, notable among which is the consolidated judgment in CL 86/2019 in the matter of Tim Prudo as liquidator of Regents Grant Limited and CL 8/2021 Kajipan and others against Director of Immigration, Derek Bean and others, in which he dealt with an application for the court sanction of a contingent/conditional fee arrangement in these islands. His judgment has definitely shown the way forward in that discussion in the light of public policy and access to justice in these islands, and may result in a definitive pronouncement of general application on the matter. The Honorable Mr. Justice Simons QC bows out of his service on Thursday, 31st March 2022 with honor and the gratitude of the Chief Justice, the entire judiciary, and the Turks and Caicos Islands. And now I address you, sir. May I take this opportunity, sir, to assure you of my highest regard for taking on the challenge to sit on the bench, which is a heavy weight to bear at very short notice. The weight of responsibility when one is called upon to sit over society of which one is a part, to adjudicate on matters that affect the rights and even liberty of persons without fear or favor, affection or ill will, is impossible to describe without recourse to emotive words. So I thank you for accepting not once, but 2 times to do it, and for applying yourself to the task. That you left your area of comfort as a civil judge to conduct a jury trial due to an exigent circumstance is testament not only to your resilience, but also to your desire to do your best in every situation and to be worthy of the trust reposed in you by your appointments. These are the reasons why we had to place on record at a special sitting what your contribution has meant to the judiciary and to the Turks and Caicos Islands. And I wish you well. I also thank you and wish you God's blessings. I have no doubt that in the capacity of a private, experienced civil and commercial law practitioner with some experience on the bench, you will continue to contribute to the growth of this country's jurisprudence. I have little doubt also that you will join hands with the judiciary to assist with our continuing judicial education program when the need arises. I thank you, Mr. Justice Simons QC, so very much for your service. And I trust that my little speech has met with your approval as being sufficiently low-key, as not being over the top, as you put it. And I thank all participants for being a part of this ceremony. Thank you. At this point, there is something in the program, which is that I will present a gift to Justice Simons. The gift will be presented, but not at this point. We do have something for him to remember his service of the judiciary, but we shall present that when we go outside just before the refreshment. And so I now call upon somebody who I'm sure is going to sing with a lot of emotion, and I hope with no tears. Mrs. Monique Harvey, who has served as a clerk to the judge, and is going to sing something in honor of this.
This song was adapted by Miss Sandra E. Simons Garland. It was inspired by Whitney Houston's song, One Moment in Time, and it's in honor of the Honorable Mr. Justice Simons, OBE QC. It is entitled, This Moment in Time. B flat. I've always prayed each day I live to be the best that I can be, and steadily my dreams I see mature into reality. Hard work I've done, forged on and on, from dawn to dusk, and then to morn. I rose and fell, and now I tell, this much remains. I have this one moment in time to be thankful for all I could be. When my works of fulfillment, the heart beat away, and the answers are not up to me. Just this one moment in time to give way to my destiny. And in this one moment of time, I am thankful. I am thankful eternally. Each day I live, I give my best to country and humanity. My finest years are yet unknown, as life itself has always shown. I've tasted sweet and bitter too, and facing loss was all too true. I rose and fell, and here to tell, now firmly stand at this one moment in time. When I thought I'd done all I could do, when all of my dreams are maturing, it seems, and the future is not up to me, but I seize this one moment in time to give way to my destiny. And in this one moment of time, I'll be thankful. I'll be thankful eternally. Oh, lifetime to be thankful in this lifetime, at this one moment in time. When I've tried to give the best in me, when all of my dreams are maturing, it seems, and the future is not up to me, but I seize this one moment in time to be happy and to make it shine. And in this one moment of time, I am thankful. I am thankful eternally.
Thank you so very much. I'm not sure that there's anybody here who has not been able to say. Thank you. Different levels of establish OBE. The first day I said we will hold a special session. You said no. And I said you don't get to decide how we will send you off. Because we will send you off properly. You will only have to get to decide some of the details. And I hope that this is not, as you put it, I repeat, over the top. But it was necessary for us to do this today. To make the statement that TCI Judiciary honors its own, especially one who has worked with admirable distinction. So now you may, if you can, I hope you are not I hope you are not been baptized by Mrs. Harvey. And please.
What a wonderful song, and what a wonderful rendition of it. Thank you, Mrs. Harvey. I will say more about it. Are you hearing me? I will say more about it as I work my way through my comments. But in consistent with the theme of that song, I have prepared a thank you note. And that is what I shall treat you to this morning. Madam Chief Justice, the Honorable Deputy Attorney General, the Director of the Public Prosecutions, Mr. Mizik, QC, the doyen of the bar, and Mr. Hawkins, president of the Bar Council, my fellow judges, brothers and sisters, judges and magistrates. I hope I haven't left out anyone. I might just, as out of an abundance of caution, adopt the protocol that has been established by previous speakers. And to those previous speakers, I express my gratitude for all of the very kind things that they have said about me. As I said, I shall use this occasion to deliver thanks to some of the people. It's impossible to remember all of them, but to some of the people who have brought me to this place, to this moment, in the words of the song that has been, with which we have been serenaded by my clerk. I will miss out some, and who ought to be included, and I apologize for that at the outset. I begin by saying thanks to Her Ladyship, the Chief Justice. She first conceived of this ceremony as a nationwide ceremony, but I poured cold water on that idea because I thought that it ought to be reserved for the next TCI judge of the Supreme Court, who would be younger, more distinguished, and who would occupy a permanent position on the bench. I know this will happen because I have sat as a judge for a year, and before that for a month, and I have seen young Turks and Caicos Islands lawyers who can achieve that. And I sincerely hope that my experience has encouraged them in that direction. So the national ceremony can wait. And whilst I'm on this point, I feel obliged to confess a twinge of guilt that this opportunity did not fall to my senior at the bar, the doyen of the bar, Mr. Ariel Mizik, QC, who is so much more a consummate lawyer than I am. I can only imagine that he politely declined the opportunity and said, "Ask Carlos." Chief Justice, you have been a pillar of support and encouragement from the very first telephone call and all through the year, up to your insistence, as you have rightly related, that this ceremony was to happen in one form or another. I thank you for that, and I pray God's blessings on you and your efforts here in the TCI. I express the same gratitude of support and encouragement to my brother and sister judges and magistrates, and to the entire staff of the judiciary, all of whom have stood with me in this effort. I say a special thanks to my clerk, Mrs. Harvey, whose loyalty and support have been unfailing from the day I first met her, up to the beautiful rendition that she has just, as I said, serenaded us with. And just to pay due credit, intellectual property credit, that song is an adaptation of the Whitney Houston song, One Moment in Time. It was adapted by my sister, Sandra Garland, and who worked very closely with my clerk, Mrs. Harvey, to get it ready for this morning. And I'm very grateful to them both. So thank you, Madam Clerk. Soon after I qualified as a lawyer, I fell in with a great group of guys, Ian Miller and Tim O'Sullivan in quick succession, and then later on, Adrian Corr, Neil Coles, and more recently, Jonathan Catan, as he now is. I would not have arrived at this moment without their encouragement and the support. And the resources of the law firm that we have built over the better part of 40 years. And so I thank my partners and my support staff at Miller Simons O'Sullivan. Family, of course, is always key. And I have no doubt that they will all be very proud of the place that I have arrived at in this moment. And they would all be very happy for me today. My parents, of course, both of whom have passed, will be looking down and smiling with much satisfaction. I'm pleased to have here with me my wife, Lydia, who quite understands and understands and supports my motivation to service. And for that, I'm very grateful. Some of you may think that that's just a polite way of saying that without her permission, I could not have done this. Remember, she who must be obeyed, Rumpel. In any case, I am grateful for her support and encouragement. And staying on family, I also have with me my sister Sandra and my brother Ozzy and his wife Linda. Sandra has been with me on this journey to this moment, beginning with the day almost 40 years ago, 38 years ago, when I was admitted as an attorney of the TCI bar. And over all those years, she has been a pillar of strength and a fount of wisdom. And to her, I say a special thank you. Ozzy has also always been in my corner, consistently over the years, as evidenced by his presence here today, along with his wife, Linda. And for that, I am also very grateful. There were 7 of us in the siblings in the family, as I have said. And I must also pay due respect to the others who also played their part in molding the character and the career that you celebrate today. In this moment, they would also gladly have been here had circumstances permitted. And I am extremely grateful for them as well. Finally, I wish to thank members of the bar who have appeared before me over the past year for their diligence, for their assistance, and without exception, for their deference, their courtesies, and the respect that they have shown to the office of judge during the course of my sittings. I can safely assure you, Honorable Chief Justice, and you, Honorable Deputy Attorney General, that the future of the profession in the TCI is in good hands. I end like this. There were 7 of us siblings in the family, as I said. I was severely asthmatic until I was in my early teens. My siblings don't know this, but I know that they gave up on me a few times. When you're in Saul Key under an asthma attack and the nearest hospital is a 4-hour sailboat ride away in good weather, you recover only by the grace of God. And so I thank God for bringing me to this moment. Thank you.
Mr. Justice Carlos Robert Simon, OBE, PC. Thank you. The court will now rise. Rise. Please resume your seat. I was going to say the court will now rise and we are going to go through the side door to the refreshment area, and judges and magistrates will join you shortly. Thank you very much. And now you're rising.
All rise. Honorable Supreme Court has been suspended for 30 March 11 a.m. Chief Justice Judge.